Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Axion,
I'm Sint.
and I'm about to die.
Well, you're good at that. You've had a lot of practice.
Thanks. We are continuing Castlevania Circle of the Moon and our discussion of The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And wow, I was not expecting a card drop right there of all places.
Womp womp.
So I better save that for the next time I die, because that is actually a really good card. Where is it? Golem.
Let's go play with your friends some more. Anyway, so very, very key to even being able to discuss the Telltale Heart is the fact that you need to be able to define madness. Poe likes to lean into this. Honestly, a lot of horror writers do, because psychological horror is a completely different beast from, like, visceral, like, there are different types of horror.
Mm-hmm.
And not being able to trust your own mind is its own type of horror.
Yep.
And yeah, we already know, like, right from the get-go with this story that we need to expect insanity. Because it's like the second sentence. True. Nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am, but why will you say that I am mad? People are clearly calling him nuts. He says he ain't. Because he had very sharpened senses, and, again, this has a lot of energy of, from Parks and Rec, of, like, depressed? Could a depressed person make this? Yes.
Look at how many classical artists were incredibly depressed.
It's almost like when there's something that's not quite right in your brain, you actively seek ways to make things work for you. Because what else choice do you have? Well, apparently you have a choice of being knocked off the platforms.
I really don't like these guys.
What are they called?
Dark Armors.
I despise Castlevania Dark Armors.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well.
I'm sorry, they were very disarmoring.
Boo.
Didn't stop me that time, did ya?
No, I didn't.
But yeah, madness also takes many different forms depending on the particular story you might be reading. Like, we've talked about a fair few at this point, I would say, it's safe to say.
Yep. We had the cosmic horror of Call of Cthulhu. We had the various interpretations of horror from a child's perspective of Harry Potter. We've had the raw animalistic fear of a predator threat from Redwall.
I was gonna say Lord of the Flies.
We had, well, Lord of the Flies is a different horror. It's the horror of regression. Redwall was more, there's a big nasty monster out here, with Asmodeus. Whereas,
And Lord of the Flies, they just think there's the big nasty monster in the jungle, but
the real
yeah, they
horror
still have
was
that fear of the
human.
beast.
Yeah, but the real horror of Lord of the Flies is, at least in my opinion, that any of us could become that in the right circumstances.
And the right circumstances are called Black Friday at Walmart. tell me I'm wrong.
You would know better than I. I've never worked retail.
Look, every year there's a story of like someone getting killed at Black Friday at Walmart or whatever store happens to be. It's usually Walmart because, well, Walmart.
It's Walmart.
You get different problems at other stores. Like, I worked at Target, and there you got the special types of customers who went there so they could feel superior to the Walmart shoppers, and therefore you got the higher middle class Karens. It's like, yeah, honey, just go back to your SUV and pretend something went right in your life. I worked there too long. But yeah, we also had Frankenstein, where the the madness was less madness than it was just a complete and utter lack of boundary or shame. I do like how you just ran away as soon as the fight started. It was some very six-fingered man energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The problem is he works really well at close range, and I work better at long range with this whip.
Womp. But yeah, in the case of our narrator here, the madness seems to be like partly connected to recovering from an illness, unspecified, but he says it sharpened his senses. So I'm not quite sure. Like, I'm not really great with old-timey medical stuff, as we've mentioned with the whole wallpaper incident, but yeah. So it also just seems to be like a complete misreading of various circumstances. Like paranoia, perhaps, because we never really hear why he dislikes the eye, other than he just finds it creepy. But sane people don't look at someone and go, "Your eye creeps me out, therefore you must die."
You must die.
Are you sure you want to say that right now? Indeed, you must die.
I would have made it out of there if my game hadn't frozen.
I would have survived if I hadn't died. Because people die when they are killed.
That's not what I said. I said if my game hadn't frozen. Because the game just stopped for a second. And by the time it recovered, he was right up on me and I couldn't run away in time.
Okay. But, yeah. Like, so I'm not really sure, like... Our narrator he describes himself as nervous, very nervous, so it seems to be some sort of, like, aggravated anxiety, which is why I'm willing to say paranoia feeds into this as well. But it does also seem to mean he has, like, a very lessened social awareness. As in, you know, like, when the police show up to be like, "Hey, why were people screaming in this building?"
Oh, I just had a bad dream.
You're fully dressed, but okay, yeah, what were you dreaming about?
Oh, don't worry about it. It's not important. It's just a bad dream. I'll be fine.
And then he also volunteers to talk about, oh yeah, the old man who lives here is just on vacation.
Yep, I'm just watching the house for him.
But, yeah, it's just... so many questions.
Alright, let's get this over with.
Okay, so a quick Google that I really should have done before we started this episode. Just looking up Telltale Heart narrator illness. False narrative is a trait characteristic of schizophrenia.
As are hallucinations.
So, yeah, if the narrator is meant to portray an early understanding of what schizophrenia looks like, yeah, that could explain a lot. Again, though, this is from, a very early, back in the day when we don't really know how to handle neurodivergence. Because that's something else I wanted to bring up, like what madness means. Like, in fiction, madness often means someone's going to try and kill you. Most people I know who deviate from the norm, as far as this goes, aren't that kind of crazy. Like, I am not neurotypical. I have never felt, the overwhelming burning desire to murk someone. Because, why? Now, I can't speak for others, but by and large, most people are not going to be violent by nature, which means even if something goes a little off in their brain, they're not going to... That's new.
Yep, phase 2.
Yeah, if something goes a little off, they're not going to suddenly go like, well, yep, now I must murder. But for some reason, that seems to be how... Oh, you have 1 hit point left!
No, I don't. I have 1 heart left. That's...
Okay, I don't know the difference.
Hearts are what pay for my special attacks, like the cross.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. My hit points are the blinking red bar at the top.
Okay. Yeah, you'd think I would have figured out how this game works, considering this is like the, 4th book we've used it for?
Something like that.
But, yeah, I don't really get why people immediately jump to mental illness means you have the potential to become a mass murderer.
Because, at least in my experience, the reason is usually something along the lines of, because if there's not something wrong with that person that is definitively about them, and therefore qualifies anything they do as a symptom of their condition, then it could be something that is done by anybody, and the average neurotypical standard person can't just say, well, I'm perfectly healthy, therefore I would never do that.
Which is why, if you've ever looked at any sort of murder mystery, one of the big things is find the person with a motive. Because then, it explains why only that one particular person who is not necessarily suffering from any sort of mental condition would be the one to do that. And our narrator seems to think that he is quite normal, because he did have a motive that creeped me out. But, as we've discussed, something ain't right with the boy. But, yeah, I just find it very frustrating.
It's a stereotype, and it's unfortunately both a common and a harmful one.
And, we can give Poe something of a pass on it, because Poe was writing this quite some time before basic understanding of this stuff was common knowledge. Nowadays, you kind of have to go out of your way to not have some basic understanding of and modicum of empathy for people who are going through some stuff. And yet, again, I know it's 2023. We are still having to remind people that, maybe caring about people isn't a sign of sissy weakness, but a symptom of a healthy and functioning society and the baseline of civilization. Oh, but sorry, is that too radical for people, I guess?
Oh, they heal him if they hit me. That sucks.
Yes, as if stabbing wasn't bad enough.
I can't believe I dodged those. Not so lucky the second time. But yeah, there is a long and storied tradition of using mental illness as a shortcut and shorthand for liable to do crimes or be evil. And a large part of that is just good old fear of the unknown. But another large part is if we can blame a mental illness for everything that is done wrong by these people, then it's not a risk that quote-unquote normal people have to fear ever succumbing to, and we can just quarantine the sick people somewhere where they won't be a threat to everybody else.
No, we can't. We tried quarantine. Look how all that worked out. As soon as you ask the people who don't want to be held responsible for anything to do something that makes them mildly inconvenienced, oh no, the end of the world. So no, they can't quarantine people away from them because then they wouldn't be able to go anywhere they wanted.
Oh no, we're not going to quarantine those people. They're normal.
Yeah, but if we put them there, then we can't go in there, and maybe I want to go in there and look around, so it wouldn't work. They'd find a reason it would inconvenience them, and then they'd have a problem with it, because, oh, why do they get a special I'm good. I'm sorry. Let's stop.
That's why they have, like, camps or something. Places where...
Okay, we're going down a bad pathway here.
It is a bad pathway, but it's also how a lot of this has gone in the past. Sometimes it is actual camps, sometimes it's sanatoriums or other mental care facilities. But this is how things have went in the past. People
I know.
feel that those who are not like them are a danger and have them removed so that they don't feel threatened by them anymore. Ow. Yeah, being in the corner in this fight is a bad idea. Ow.
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of talked into a corner on this one, and we've gone a bit off of what I'd initially intended, but I don't really have much else to say.
Alright, we'll see if we can make some progress on this fight, and when I inevitably die, we will call it a series. Or I'll win and things will go awesome, and nope, I died. Alright.
Okay, we'll put you under the floorboards with the other guy. Later!
Later.